No ashes without fire. No rain without tears. Ignite your deep desires to wash away all fears. Wholeness, beautiful beings. This is Silvertree here, and I welcome you to Runes of Silvertree. May this message find you well and whole. So, this is the last episode for the wild deer medicine, for the wild deer season, for the wild deer energy. And like the title, you see, this is a transitional phase between elements. The title of this message is No Ashes Without Fire. And during this transitional phase, we're leaving the wild deer medicine wheel and we're entering into the red serpent medicine wheel. We are moving from water energy into fire energy. And so, nonetheless, this reading is quite unique. Each reading from here on out will be very unique in its interpretation of and for the human collective, the consciousness of humanity. And so in this message will be a reflection of that, of the dance between water, fire, fire, water. Before we get into today's message and reading, I would like to make an official shout out to Ceka. Darbad Ceka. She goes by the name of Ceka, and please check out her two YouTube channels. They are Zen Wombs and Zen Wombs 2. Both links are located down below, so please check that out. Her message is just as important as mine. Our deliverance between the both of us is very different. She brings that fire, she brings that trumpet, and I highly recommend that you listen to this prophetess. She is incredibly powerful, and she is incredibly intuitive. I believe in her. I believe in her message. She is the only one by far who is creating solutions to our problems that we're facing with our body, mind, and spirit. She lives with integrity. She is a woman of her word. She is the woman of the womb. So please check her out. Okay, so in today's reading, we are going to investigate the poem that you just heard, the poem of Fire and Water, and I'll go over a couple of visions that I received from that, and then we'll go over the analysis of this poem, and we'll end the reading with the Energy Vortex Rune Reading, and then close out with the Sigil reading. Again, I'm so grateful that all of you have tuned into today's message. Let's get started. Okay, so the poem that you heard, No Ashes Without Fire. I'll briefly go over this poem again. No ashes without fire, no rain without tears. Ignite your deep desires to wash away all fears. With this poem, I had two visions. I had a vision of a couple dancing, the tango. A man holding the woman, and he's looking off to one side, and the woman holding her man, she's looking off to another. And they're holding, and tango is a very intense, passionate dance between two energies. And then I see the image of red shoes. Now, I'm not sure how many of my listeners know the story of the devil's red shoes. There are several different renditions of this story, but it is a powerful one indeed. It is how we can get lost in between, or get lost in the dance of desires and fears and desires. And so we're heavily going to get into that. Also, what kind of tied into this vision of the couple dancing, I heard the phrase, hot to the touch and cool to the bone. Hot to the touch and cool to the bone. So hot to the touch meaning a birth, right? When we are going through a birth, when a woman is giving birth to a newborn, that baby is coming from a space of warmth. That baby holds the warmth of life. The fire of life flows through that baby. And then cool to the bone, I felt and heard like death, like a death. So we have this dance between birth, death, birth, right? We're in between a flux, if you will. We're entering into the last quarter of the year, October, November, December. We're leaving, summer has gone, fall is here, fall, winter, right? It's that September, October energy is very, very interesting when we're entering into the season of death, of fall, of autumn, into winter, into sleep, into a period of, I would say, a deep rejuvenation going within. Let's get into the analysis of this poem that I channeled this morning. No ashes without fire. I'm going to read to you the following interpretation. To obtain the light of life. So no ashes without fire. Meaning to obtain the light of life, we must obliterate all that doesn't serve. To uncover this eternal flame, we must do away with old jewels to recognize the true treasure, which is us. We are the eternal flame. We are the eternal flame. Meaning, it's to obtain illumination, to obtain deeper wisdom or even knowledge. We must let go of what we think we know, right? We think we know because we've been taught to know in a certain way. We've been taught programs. We've been taught stories and narratives. But all the while we're seeking more. We're seeking outside of ourselves. We're seeking externally for this knowledge, this wisdom that can't be taught through the old ways. Doing away with old jewels. Now, I have been a huge lover of crystals and stones and all the like gemstones and whatnot over the years. But as I'm aging in this life and deeper into my journey on my path, I use less crystals. I end up giving crystals away as gifts to the earth or gifts to other people that I care about. But these old jewels, see, crystals are record keepers, right? They are keys to unlock parts of our consciousness. They are helpers. They are tools. No more, no less than that. But we as a collective must recognize that we are the true treasure. We are the one and only true jewel. Our bone is made up of calcium phosphate. There is no other higher crystal than that. Our skeleton, that is made up of calcium phosphate. That is a type of crystal, if you will. We are crystalline. So it's this recognition of tuning into this jewel that is us, right? So letting go of old keys. Have you guys ever found yourself fumbling through keys? You know, you have a collection of keys. You don't, and sometimes you have so many keys over the years that you accumulate that you don't know which key goes into which door, right? And you're just there fumbling through your keys. Or better yet, you're at a new place. You just moved to a new place, and the landlord gives you, you know, a huge set of keys, and you're trying to fumble through which one fits where. And I feel like Source is asking us to let go of some of those keys, because you only need one. You only need one, and that's you. You are the key. You are the jewel. So we'll move to the next phrase. No rain without tears. No rain without tears. Interesting. We, the collective, beseech the heavens for rain to quench our ever-growing thirst as we drown ourselves in our tears. We have not recognized the power of our life waters that flow through us, around us, within us. How long do we weep and willow for the medicine that we strategically hide from ourselves? How much suffering shall we endure when the infinite well of healing holds space for us, waiting for us, watching, wanting? And there's so much in that phrase, no rain without tears. So I feel as though with in this transitional season, right, this week right now, the human collective is going through this. We're wailing, we're crying out, help us, help us. We're trying to figure out ourselves on this emotionally, right? It's almost like Source is saying, recognize that you hold the power within yourselves. It's almost like you're crying for rain to come, but you don't notice that you're crying. The tears that you produce are made of water, right? Like we are the solution to our problems. Not our governments, not our politicians, doctors, lawyers, nurses, all of these systems and programs that are set up that we know are falling apart, okay? Right? They're going through their own life, death, rebirth cycle, right? I'm not pinning one, I'm not calling anything bad or good. It's just, it is what it is. It's part of the cyclical, seasonal shift in the human consciousness, in our collective. But we must recognize that we are our own medicine. It's almost like I feel like these two elements, water, fire, they're both asking us to just give them some recognition. You know? Like recognize where the water is taking place in our day-to-day lives. how the fire is taking place in our day-to-day lives. Right? What's giving us heat? What's causing the heat within our bodies so our bodies can stay cool or warm? Right? What's regulating us within our own human form? Yes, we see the sun. The sun rises and the sun sets. When the sun rises, it begins to give off heat. It heats our planet. Yes, we know that. But even in our living conditions, what's giving you hot water? What, right? What's giving us and sustaining us? And I'm feeling, as I'm reading this right now, that fire and water are asking just to be recognized. Not praised, but recognized. Remember, we are alchemists. We are master of water, of fire, earth, wind, ether. And so the next two lines here in this poem is as follows. Ignite your deep desires to wash away all fears. Ignite your deep desires to wash away all fears. And so this is where the vision of the dance between the man and woman, the tango, right, come into play. So this next analysis is as follows. Toxic, pleasurable, inexcusable lust, distraction, a nostalgia that rots from the inside, reeks of sweat and decay. The devil's red shoes keep dancing as we sway in the halls of terror. What keeps desire at bay but our own limitations, procedures, protocols, and rules? Ah, but fear not, for desire embraces us into her bosom of afterthought, short-term gratification, a quickie to forget that we are in a self-imposed quarantine of the mind and body. We are addicted to this dance and will never take these old, red, cursed shoes of the devil. Wow. Yes, I know. A bit heavy, but that's what came through. Okay. So the devil's red shoes, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's a story of, I'm just trying to keep this super brief. The devil's red shoes is the story of a young girl, okay, who's basically, she's deprived of the pleasures of life, right? She's a very impoverished girl. She loses her mother very young, and then she's, taken in by an older woman, and she takes care of this older woman. And one day they pass by this store, and she's like, oh my goodness, wow. And she sees these beautiful red shoes in the store, and she wants them so bad. She asks the old woman, please can I have these shoes? Please can I have these shoes? And the old woman says, no, you're not wasting your money on that. So the girl, one day, she, with her own creativity, creates her own shoes. She makes them with what creativity she had, and she makes her own red shoes. And then the old woman comes across and she says, oh, no, you cannot wear red shoes in this house. You cannot wear red shoes. And the girl said, oh, but I made these with my own hand, so we wouldn't waste the money on the red pair of shoes at the store. And the old woman says, no. No. And so she burns the red shoes in front of the little girl's eyes, until one day a man with a beard, a red beard, approaches, and he sees this little girl very sad and just downtrodden. Her own creation was completely obliterated. And he says, hey, little girl, would you like these pairs of shoes? And she knew that the old woman said, no, no, please don't wear these red shoes. Don't wear them. I won't allow it. But the girl felt so deprived, and she felt so alone, and so just no way out, right? And so she gave into this desire, into this pleasure, and she said, yes, I'll take the red shoes. And this man, this red-bearded man who is the devil, tricks her, gives her the pair of red shoes, but these red shoes were cursed. And these red shoes made this little girl dance. I mean, dance until she couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep. No one could do anything for her until she danced herself to death. So, it's during these times right now that we're going through, where we're going through this weird dance, a very dangerous dance. You know, is desire a bad thing? No. Is fear a bad thing? It depends on your perspective, but no. Fear, is something that could save your life if you know how to tune into it correctly. But both fear and desire can overwhelm a spirit. It can overwhelm a people. It can overwhelm a country, a nation, a world, a consciousness. And this is a very dangerous dance that we're in right now. I wish that I could say, yeah, we can take off those red shoes. I wish I could say that we could, dance a new dance. Let go of the tango, right? And dance her to a new rhythm. But this is not what I'm being shown right now, at this moment. It's very, very, very weird space to be in. And so at this moment, I'm going to get into the rune reading for the energy vortex for the human collective. For the thought form, right? For the thought form, where is our thinking as a collective? As you see here, I pulled the rune and it looks like an X, right? And the vision that I got with this rune, or the impression that I got, was the universal no. When you cross your two forearms together and you go anywhere in the world, and that means no, or stop, or no. Like, don't move any further, no. And with this rune, I heard resistance. Resistance. We're in resistance in some way, maybe in many ways right now. Politically, culturally, we're in this great massive divide that's happening. I call it the Great Separation. Where you have each side opposing the other. And it's just causing more and more and more. It's like this accumulation of just resistance I'm seeing right now. For the emotional state, for the human collective, I pulled the rune here, which I call it the broken cycle. But the words that I heard was fate, decision. Fate, decision. So the human collective is like, again, in that weird dance, fate, decision. Either we go with the flow of what's being told, or we make our own individual decision. Right? And so the next one with our action, okay, the action that the human collective is taking. Now this rune stands for mankind or alchemy, okay? You have all five senses, water, fire, earth, air, ether. But the word that came through in the reading, I heard humanity, okay? Humanity. So humanity is very much if you look at this rune, you see either a person, you see an object, you see a path leading to something, all pointing in one direction. And all the four lines are pointing at one destination. So humanity has made its choice. Now I'm going to enter into the sigil. And after I took a look at it, well, first I want to get into what the sigil, the overall meaning of the sigil means before I get into my last impression of what came through. So you have the fate decision sitting over humanity's head. And at the opening of the pathway, you have resistance. Now, right now, as I'm looking at this, I'm hearing hope. Overall hope. Like there's hope at the end of the tunnel. The fate decision that's hovering over humanity's head, that I feel like is external help. External assistance. I don't know if it's from, and this is the impression I got. I literally, when I looked at the whole thing, I was like, oh, wow, that looks like a UFO. That looks like extraterrestrial. It looks like a ship hovering over humanity. And humanity at this opening is facing resistance of some kind. Right? That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing either our higher selves begin to integrate fully, and we begin to evolve by expanding our consciousness, as I say always. But I'm getting hope. Like there is hope. There is something great that's going to happen. I know I started this reading off with, kind of dark, right? But I really feel very hopeful about this, because whenever I pull that rune for humanity, it's very significant, especially in the energy vortex for action. When you have humanity in action, that means something is happening right now that is going to play a huge role. It involves everyone. It involves our bodies. It involves our physical form. And there is hope. But again, I do see resistance. You have that X, like a no. So those of you, there are those who are standing right in front of the X, trying to figure out how to get around the X, how to get around the no, so that they can walk their true path. There are those that are already there. Yes, I see three roles here. I see those that are in front of the X, the no, the resistance. Okay. I see the role of the resistance, people who are giving the no, who are putting up that block. I see people who found a way behind the resistance and are walking down that path behind the X. I see people that are standing firm as one, as unity. You see that one line there? That could be a person, or it can be an event, or it can be a group. But I'm hearing unity. I'm hearing oneness. And then I see the ship. Then I see fate. I see a decision. But there's a lot of energy going on right now. And I know, and just by looking at the sigil, I'm seeing it. I see people that are stuck, like they feel stuck. because that no, that X is like, no, it's a block. It's like, nope, you're not entering into this new path. It's so clear. It's so clear to me. And then I see people who've made somehow, oh my gosh, I'm seeing it. You see these other two open spaces, that open angle to the left and that open angle to the right, guys? There's a way around this. There's solutions around the X. It's right in front of our eyes. The solution's right in front of our eyes. When you get past the illusion of the X, the illusion of the block, you'll see the left and the right. You'll see like two other paths. You'll see other ways that you can reach the destination, that you can reach unity, that you can gather and unify yourself so that you can make your decision a clear decision, so that you can be in alignment of receiving the help. That's what I just heard. Receiving the help. So I know that when you're looking at the sigil, my listeners, you'll see the X, but then pay attention where you don't see the X, right? There's openings. Nothing is set in stone. Wow, okay. All right, so this is a closing of this reading. And may this message find you well and whole. Wow, I didn't know that this reading would end this way. At first I thought, oh man, this is kind of bleak, but it's not. It's not. It is only bleak for those that believe that the block, they put more faith in the block than they put hope, right? It's you have to go beyond the resistance, go beyond the limitation. Okay? I thank you all so much, as if you've made it this far in the rune reading for today. Thank you so much for your support. And please show support to Ceka, Darvad Ceka. Check out her 2 YouTube channels, Zen Wombs, and then she has Zen Wombs 2 for her backup channel. And yes, I really, really, really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. And always remember, okay, try to remember yourself back to what is true, what will lead you to wholeness. Remember to embrace supreme loving guidance, expand your consciousness, and evolve your human being.